Hey guys, what's going on? It's Andrew from AR Media. In tonight's video, I'm going to review Wonder Woman 4K UHD Blu-ray. Now, I picked this up and I was super pumped to give this a watch, so I'm going to go over the movie, the picture quality, if it's worth the pickup. Let's get to it. So I gave Wonder Woman a watch tonight, and after seeing it in theaters, I was really blown away. I loved this movie, and that really is an understatement. So this is actually one of my favorite superhero movies, definitely my favorite DC superhero movie, and I'll just go over it very briefly, but this is the origin story of Wonder Woman, and it shows where she comes from. She's from the Amazons, and I did not know much about her before this, so I don't really want to spoil too much, but I will say that it just shows her origin story and how she comes to the US. The story has a lot of layers to it, whether it be romance, drama, action. It's just a really, really good story that keeps you captivated the whole time. The entire runtime of this movie, you will be glued to the seat, you'll be glued to the screen, and that's a lot to say for a movie that's this long. A lot of superhero movies don't have the passion that I feel that this one did. I put this on the same level as like the original Spider-Man in the storyline. I really think it was up there. So I definitely give this a great review. Movie-wise, Gal Gadot did an amazing job. Chris Pine as a supporting actor really changed my view of him. He was very good in Star Trek, but this really changed it for me. And overall, fantastic movie, highly recommended. Now let's get to the picture quality, what you guys came here for. So this is a 2K digital intermediate upscale to 4K, and what that upscale brings is a nice increase in detail, in clarity. You're getting a very, very nice increase in detail here. So you can tell every detail, whether it be pores, whether it be markings on the armor, whether it be fibers on the clothing, whether it be marks in the ground or the landscape. All the detail here is a nice increase over the Blu-ray. You're also going to get a lot of depth with this image. So you're going to get a lot of layers here, and it really shows towards the end of the movie where Wonder Woman is either flying at you or away from you, or Ares was throwing the particles. You see a lot of layers there, and it almost gives a 3D effect, which is very, very nice. Now, next thing I'm going to hit up on is the grain, because this has an artificial layer of grain added to it. Now, I'm not a big fan of grain at all. I don't mind when it's a part of the movie, if it's shot on film, because that's how it's originally meant to be. I don't really like when it's added in post, but I must say that, some scenes will annoy you with the grain, but it really isn't bothersome on the image. Some scenes are definitely very noisy with the grain. There's definitely, it looks like there's mosquitoes on the screen in some scenes, but for 90% of the scenes, they look fine. The grain is not even really noticeable, and the action is so beautiful that you're really not focusing on that. So I will not even take off a point at all for that. Next, I want to hit up on the HDR. The HDR on this is fantastic. Now, this is reference HDR. Now, specifically the last scene with Ares and Wonder Woman, where you have lightning on one side and fire on one side, and just deep inky blacks all around. You could see the HDR and really the best presentation possible. The lightning just bolts off the screen, it comes at you, the fire shimmers off the screen, the reds, there are so many different hues in the fire, and the same thing with lightning. There, between the white and blue, there are just so many different hues in there that pop off the screen. It was definitely a showcase scene. Now, also the beginning of the movie, where you're starting out on the island of the Amazons, you're seeing luscious greens in the landscape, and you see a beautiful, beautiful ocean, similar to like a color of the ocean in Bermuda, where it's like a mixture of white, teal, and green, and it looks amazing. And really the HDR is what showcases this by far. The HDR on this disc is fantastic. Now, don't get me wrong, the detail is great, the increase in depth is great, the clarity is great. Overall, this is a fantastic disc, but the HDR is really where this shines. Between how good of a movie this is, how good the transfer is, I definitely feel this is worth the pickup day one. This was an awesome movie that you're going to watch multiple times, and I highly suggest it. So anyway, guys, throw me a thumbs up if you like this review, subscribe down below for more content, comment down below if you plan on picking this up, and have a good night, guys.